Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. What the slump yesterday is. The slump continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Bettor Off Dead, Monday, September 8th. Slight losing day on the show yesterday. It was 2-2. I mean, not going to have a winning day every day, man. At least it wasn't terrible. But football wound up just being 1-2 yesterday, which is really unfortunate because at least in my ESPN Pigskin Pick'em, where you have to pick every game, I was 10-5 against the spread. Although some of the games, we got like way different numbers on some of the games than where the number landed, so I had to go like in the other direction on it. But I mean, there were games where it actually like wound up in the middle too. Like the Denver game wound up middling, so like there might have been guys with tickets on Denver -6.5 and on Tennessee +9, and the game landed 8. So they scooped the entire pile on a game like that, which is crazy. I mean, it looked like Denver wasn't going to cover that number at all, but there was that, and then in Arizona. Actually, I don't think it happened with Arizona. I think Arizona just wound up covering it, but I wound up getting a win on that one in Pigskin Pick'em just because the number was 3.5 on that, and the number went off at like 6. So, like, you know what you have to do, man. Like, if you're getting a number that's so much better than that, you just have to do it, even if you don't even love that side. You know, that's just a week 1 thing in ESPN, though. So it's more about numbers. But yesterday, yeah, we started out all right. The baseball game that we had won with the Cincinnati Reds. They took the lead fairly early on, and they hung on for a 3-2 win after they were losing 1-0. They were up 3-1 for a decent amount of the game. So we did win on the Cincinnati Reds. That over, that was one of my leans. I hate it when I have like these leans. I'm like, I kind of want to do it, and those happen easily. In the Seattle and Braves game, that went way over the total. Seattle went over by themselves again. But what can you do? NFL, we got the win on the Jets. The Jets blew the game, though. I mean, they covered, but they didn't hit on the money line. And obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious to everybody, but like when I give out an NFL underdog, the implication is that you should put like 10% of that bet on the money line, especially when you're playing a team that's +3. You're pretty much saying you think they're going to win the game outright, so you want to put a little bit of that bet on the money line. So the money line portion of it did not hit, unfortunately, but the majority of the bet won on the Jets +3. Obviously, that's still a winner. But they pretty much blew the game. I mean, they had the game in hand. They were winning the game late in the game. I think they were winning the game by multiple scores in the fourth quarter, and they blew it. Just like the night game. I mean, we could recap some of these games real quickly, but some craziness in the NFL, man. Aaron Rodgers, dude, because I like Aaron Rodgers. I like the fact that he's out there basically silencing critics. And I got one part of that handicap wrong. Aaron Rodgers apparently did want to stick it to the Jets because he said it in the post-game interview. I was like, whoa, man, I didn't realize you felt that way, Aaron. But, dude, I mean, I have to side with Aaron Rodgers, man. I mean, he gets unbelievable amounts of hate just because he refused the vaccine and whatever. And people, just because of that and because of their political leanings, people are like, oh, he's washed, he's done. No, I mean, look at what he's doing even though he's like in his 40s. He's better than Brett Favre was at that age. Rodgers, it's the ayahuasca trips, man. Rodgers keeps himself in decent shape. He doesn't look as old as Favre did at that time. And Aaron Rodgers is not out texting female employees of his team and demanding they come to his hotel either, like Brett Favre was. So Aaron Rodgers, and Favre has Parkinson's now, by the way. Aaron Rodgers, though, yeah, I mean, I like the fact that he's still out there doing it, man. He had a really good game yesterday against a pretty solid defense, too. So, and we still got, so I liked that because Aaron Rodgers did well. The Steelers won, but the Jets still covered. So I was like, all right, it's kind of the best of everything there. The Giants, they couldn't do anything, dude, offensively. Their defense showed up well enough in the game. Part of that handicap was the Giants were going to have to score at least a little bit. Like, I was expecting the game to probably be like in the 20s, maybe on both sides. The Giants, they can't get anything done, dude. Russell Wilson sucks. He was like 45% completion percentage. He is useless, dude. He needs to be out of there. Like, the Giants they got to just put Jackson Dart in there. I mean, they don't have anything to lose. They're not expecting to do anything this season. Russell Wilson, he is washed. He's done. We've known this for a while now. There's no way that he should have even been the starting QB for the Steelers last year. And the fact that they made it to the playoffs with him is absolutely insane. I don't even know how they did that. He is so bad. And that was the reason why that Giants play had no chance. Russell Wilson is a fucking terrible quarterback at this point. Horrible. And that was that. And then Houston probably should have covered. I mean, that was such a low-scoring game. If you were going to tell me that the Rams were only going to have 2 scores in the entire game, I would have been like, yeah, load up on Houston, buddy boy. And Houston had more scores than the Rams did. Houston scored 3 times. Houston had a 6-0 lead for a while in that game. And they had a chance to backdoor it at the end, too. Well, but they were trying to win the game at that point, though. So a 14-9 loss when you have a +3, that's just brutal, dude. It was a low-scoring game, which is what I thought it would be. Defense, I thought the Houston defense would get them through. I thought Houston had a pretty solid chance to win that game. And they still did. I mean, they were driving at the end of the game. They were in Rams territory, and I think they must have turned it over on downs or something. I didn't see what happened, but obviously, at that point, you're down 5. You have to go for the touchdown. But I'm like, kick the field goal. Let's cover the spread. Oh, man. That one probably should have been a winner on Houston. It just pisses me off, man, because I went like 2-3 in my pick 5 money entry that I have, which is for a decent amount of money. 2-3, very brutal. And that was because one of the other plays that I lost in my pick 5 was the Atlanta Falcons. That was brutal, dude. If you bet on the Falcons, man, especially if you had them at the better number at +2.5. Either way, though, they should have won that game. They took the lead late in the game. They had the lead in the final 2 minutes of the game, they had the lead, and then they gave up a game-winning score, and there was a bullshit roughing the passer call because Baker Mayfield just gets the calls. Michael Penix isn't going to get those calls when he's basically a rookie here. So that was bullshit. And then even after all that, the Falcons still got into field goal range to try to retie the game right at the end, if you guys saw this. And their kicker is normally pretty much spot on, man. Younghoe Koo. And they're in a dome. It was a 44-yard field goal in a dome. That's, for Koo, that's like a pretty high percentage field goal, to be honest. And he missed it. And that would have at least sent the game into overtime. You still would have had a chance with the Falcons in overtime, maybe with some of that home magic. Put Kirk Cousins in just in overtime. Dude, Kirk Cousins, they might have won that game if Kirk Cousins was in just for the final drives, because that is his thing. Although I know Penix got them into field goal range at the end, so he did enough. But, yeah, and Kirk Cousins, man, the one thing that he does really, really well is late game, like 2-minute drill situations. He's really good at like the hurry up offense. Put him back in. Jody, what's up, man? Tampa money line. Well, I would say you lucked out on that. I'm pissed, man. I mean, I know that Atlanta was the side the professionals were on, because the line moved from like +2.5 on Atlanta to Atlanta went off as like a 1.5 point favorite. So I was like, yeah, that one looks strong enough that I'm going to throw it in my pick 5 entry. And in my pick 5, I had them at +2.5, I'm pretty sure, too. It might have been +1.5. Either way, it's like they got to win the game pretty much. But, man, that pissed me off. Oh, yeah, there was a green dildo. That was actually the second green dildo thrown in the NFL this year. There was one thrown in one of the preseason games. I can't remember which preseason game it was, but there was a green dildo in one of the preseason games. The game yesterday was the Cleveland Browns is where it was thrown, which kind of makes sense because, I mean, those fans don't have anything to really cheer for, right? So throw a green dildo onto the field. They should have won the game if you saw that game. I told you guys Cleveland Browns plus the points I thought was the right side in that game. Cincinnati, their offense, again, was really bad, although they finally got a win in week 1, but it was close, and they lucked out, dude. I'm pretty sure Cleveland missed a field goal right at the end of the game, game-winning potential field goal at the end, and they missed it. Man. So, yeah, I thought that was another chat that came up. But, yeah, Andrew, it was Cincinnati at Cleveland. Denver at 8.5. You should listen to me, man, because I told people that I leaned to the Titans plus the points as well. Denver, they never had a chance to cover that, to be honest. I mean, that game, they shouldn't have even won by 8. Tennessee was right in that game. It was a great defensive performance from both teams yesterday, but Tennessee's defense was really good in that game. We'll talk about the Monday night game tonight. And I have 2 baseball plays, so we got to get into that, man. I'm rehashing all the NFL. Oh, right, and the NFL Sunday night game was probably one of the most insane games that we've ever seen. It was a scoregami too, which if you guys are not familiar with that, it means a unique score in the NFL that no NFL game has ever landed on that final before. It wound up being 41-40. Seems kind of weird that that's actually a scoregami because that's not that weird of a final result. You would have expected that would have happened at some point, but it had not. And you can follow the Scoregami Twitter account. They tweet out every NFL result. This is not a Scoregami. This is not a Scoregami. Hey, Scoregami, yeah. Which I thought, if you looked at the scores yesterday, I would have thought that the Colts 33-8 win over Miami. That could have been a Scoregami, but it wasn't. Apparently that one had happened once before. That was probably the weirdest final score out of all of them. Colts, by the way, the team that I root for, they scored on every single offensive possession. Oh, Daniel Jones, he's no good, baby. Maybe it's just that Miami's defense is that bad. Miami looks so bad, dude. Mike McDaniels, I can't believe he hasn't been fired yet. That Miami team, holy shit, they're bad. They are so bad. They might be the last place team in the AFC East, dude. Miami, holy crap. But yeah, the Sunday night game, oh my God. I mean, that game was over. I told you I leaned to the Ravens. The Ravens covered the plus 1.5 if you got the early number on that, which was what ESPN had. So that still wound up being a correct pick for me, but geez. The Ravens, again, they dominated the Bills, man. 3rd game in a row that they've dominated the Bills, and 2nd game in a row they wound up losing the game anyway. The Ravens had that game completely in hand. They were completely outgaining the Bills. If you guys saw it, they were winning 40-25 with 4 minutes left in the game. The Bills got a really quick touchdown to cut it back to 1 score. Baltimore basically had a shot to pretty much run most of the clock out, and Derrick Henry fumbled the football at one of the most inopportune times. It's crazy. It is crazy how it's almost like Buffalo just wills Baltimore to fumble at the worst possible times. Because you guys remember the playoff game last year. Mark Andrews caught a pass across midfield. Baltimore was driving to potentially win the game. Fumbles the football in Buffalo territory. And then they still had a chance to get the game or to send it into overtime at the end. Andrews drops the 2-point conversion pass. It's insane, dude. It's like Buffalo just causes this mental thing when it's in Buffalo against Baltimore. I don't know, man. But yeah, Henry had that crucial fumble. Buffalo got the ball back. They scored again. They missed the 2-point conversion. So then they had to get the ball back again. And I think they had timeouts left. And they got the ball back again. Got into field goal range. And Buffalo's kicker is injured. Tyler Bass, who was injured during preseason. And then I guess he came back. And then he got injured again. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be awesome. Because Buffalo, during preseason, they were using one of their backup running backs as their kicker, Ray Davis. I don't even know if he's still there now. They might have cut him. I don't even know. But I'm like, this guy should be their kicker, man. It's hilarious. It's awesome. But no, they signed Matt Prater, the former Denver Bronco and Detroit Lion kicker who probably was retired. I mean, he looks like he's 60 years old. He's probably like 46 years old. It's Morton Anderson out there again, everybody. If you remember that guy from my day, I think he was the oldest kicker in the league, and he was still doing well out there for the Atlanta Falcons. Although I think, he was the one that won that game against the Minnesota Vikings, right? One of those Vikings games that all the Vikings fans don't want to ever remember. If I remember correctly, I don't know. I was a kid. I seem to remember that. But anyway, yeah, Matt Prater kicked the game-winning field goal in that game at his ancient age. Tyler Bass needs to come back for Buffalo, though. I don't really know if they could trust Matt Prater at this point. Let's get into today, man. It is a shorter card, but I don't want this video to be that long. We do have one WNBA game, which is Connecticut at Atlanta. Atlanta, I mean, they're the only team with anything to play for here. They are tied for the number 2 seed, I believe, or they might be right behind Vegas for the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Atlanta's going to be playing to try to get the better seeding if they can. But this is against Connecticut, man, so I'm not sure that I really expect Atlanta to show any full sort of focus in this game. They did just beat L.A. twice, which is probably going to knock L.A. out of the playoffs pretty much. And Indiana, by the way, even though they're now without Caitlin Clark, even for the playoffs, and without Sophie Cunningham, Indiana is going to be in the playoffs now because they annihilated Washington yesterday. Oh, my God. And LA won, so the last playoff spot it's come down to the last couple days, man. The last playoff spot is going to be either LA or Seattle. I know it's very exciting. Seattle better get it though. If you want, like if you think the better team should get in, it better be Seattle. Seattle's definitely better than LA. But Connecticut is the worst team in the league basically, and they're at Atlanta here. I mean, Connecticut might just show up just because they don't really have anything else to play for at this point. So you're going on the road to face one of the best teams in the league, so why not show up? Atlanta's up to a 13.5-point favorite, though, from 12.5, but I would not lay the points in that situation. I mean, Atlanta doesn't need to win by margin here. They want to win to get better seeding, but I don't think it's going to be a game where they have extreme focus. Major League Baseball, man, I'm going to give you 2 money line favorites. 2 road favorites is what I'm going to give you. So you already know what one of the plays is going to be because it's in the title of the show here. But, yeah. Let's get into it, I guess. All these games are in the evening. I think every team is starting a new series because it's Monday. There are a few teams off today as well. Kansas City is at Cleveland. Cleveland is returning home from a road trip where they went to Boston and Tampa Bay. They wound up winning the last 3 games at Tampa Bay, which kind of surprises me. The last 2 games were close. They were both 1-run wins. Tampa, I think, is the better team over Cleveland. But Cleveland, I mean, they're not right now playing like they're a team that's out of it, although I think they know that they're not going to make the playoffs. But they're playing out the stretch here. I think they will be motivated here just because they have an opportunity to overtake Kansas City in the standings again, and they could spoil the rest of Kansas City's season because I think Kansas City is more of the mindset that they think they could still make the playoffs because they were buyers at the trade deadline, and Cleveland was not, although yet Cleveland's only a half game behind them. But Cleveland's returning home from a road trip, like I said, and that's never, I don't want to say never, but typically it's not a good spot when you return home from a road trip. It can lead to some distractions, especially when you know you're not going to make the playoffs. You have to get back to family life. That comes into play. So that is a factor potentially for Cleveland, although Kansas City may be one of the teams they would actually focus for. Both teams have pretty good bullpens and pretty weak offenses here. Cleveland has the somewhat better bullpen. The rest scenario is a little bit in Cleveland's favor as well, I would say, on the bullpen side, but both teams in decent shape bullpen-wise here. Cleveland, surprisingly, actually is 5th in bullpen here. Actually, Kansas City's tied with them now. They're both 4th. What am I saying, man? I thought Kansas City was lower than them, but Kansas City's moved back up. Crazy to see. So both bullpens are good. Like I said, both offenses are not good. Cleveland is particularly bad. Second worst in OPS in all of baseball, and actually a significant gap there. This Cleveland offense is very bad. Kansas City is also bad, but a little bit better than that. Ryan Berger is pitching for Kansas City. One of their acquisitions at the trade deadline. They got 2 San Diego pitchers somehow. Berger actually having a decent season, 2.61 ERA, 1.09 whip, and he's better on the road as well, 2.35 ERA on the road, which seems odd to me because San Diego and Kansas City are both pitcher-friendly ballparks. He's made about a month worth of starts with Kansas City, and he's been good the whole time. He had a 2.54 ERA with them in the month of August. He's allowed 2 or 1 earned run in every one of the starts, all 6 of them. His one start this month, he did walk 3 guys against Anaheim, but he hit them through 5 innings, 6 strikeouts. So it was still a good start from him. I'm not ready to say that he's all of a sudden wild or anything like that. He's facing a weak Cleveland offense here, and Cleveland has actually never faced him before. So that could be another little bit of an edge to Berger because they haven't seen him before. So sometimes the hitters, when they haven't seen a pitcher before, they have to kind of adjust to him the first time they see him. Slade Ciccone is pitching for Cleveland. He's been a little bit all over the place this year. This is his first season with Cleveland. 4.78 ERA, 1.3 whip. He's been worse at home, 5.37 ERA at home. He got lit up in his last start by the Red Sox, 11 hits, 7 earned runs at Fenway. Had 8 strikeouts and no walks, though, so his strikeout stuff was still there. Like his command numbers, his strikeout-walk ratio has been good for a while, but his ERA has been terrible over the last month plus because he's just been allowing a lot of hits and a lot of runs, a lot of home runs. He's allowed 9 home runs since the start of August, so he's giving up a ton of hard contact, man. It's basically, it appears that he's just throwing a bunch of fastballs, and sometimes it's striking guys out, but if guys make contact, they're hitting him hard. So he's one of those guys, one of those types of pitchers against Kansas City. Very small sample size, 7 at-bats. Only 3 of their hitters have faced him before, but they're 3 for 7 off him. Home run from Yaz, 429 average, 1,429 OPS from those Kansas City hitters against him. So, yeah, I mean, even though that's a small sample size, I would lean to Kansas City here, but the money is completely disagreeing with it, which is insane because to me it seems like Kansas City has the starting pitching edge here. Everything else is kind of a wash in the game, and Cleveland is in the worst situation because they're returning home from a road trip. So it's very weird that Kansas City, 79% of tickets, only 51% of the cash. Cleveland down from -113 to -105. So the market read says Cleveland. I don't really agree with it. And then we do see money coming in on the under. 72% of tickets on the over, 92% of the cash on the under. Total has already dropped down to 7.5. Very low total. So seems like the money is thinking this is going to be a low-scoring game on both sides. I mean, I can kind of see that, especially that given that both pitchers are somewhat unfamiliar to the opposing offenses, and the offenses are not good. So that's what you have going on there. Washington at Miami. This is a game that I don't think is going to be a low-scoring game. Miami just ended a loss streak. They had a 5-game loss streak, and they just beat Philadelphia yesterday. Now, on the one hand, winning a game to end a loss streak will potentially carry over into the next game, and you'll have some newfound momentum from that. But on the other hand, they just beat Philadelphia, and that's a huge win, so it could be a bit of a letdown spot for Miami coming into this game. They are staying at home. Washington is traveling in from Chicago, and they might be in a letdown spot too because they just beat the Chicago Cubs in that series. So that was a big series win for Washington, a team that does not have a whole lot left to play for here. By the way, I did forget to mention Kansas City is starting a road trip, so Kansas City is in a more focused spot as far as that's concerned too, because when a team starts a road trip, getting out of home, especially after an ugly loss like they just had to Minnesota, it tends to refocus you a little bit more. But Washington, they may show up for a game against Miami, though, because Miami is a divisional foe that's ahead of them at the very least. So maybe Washington will show up. Neither of these teams have a whole lot left to play for at this point. They're both playing out the stretch. Both bullpens are bad in this matchup. Washington's is even worse than Miami's. Miami has had a ton of bullpen usage, though. They probably have the least rested bullpen in all of baseball right now, so that's not a good thing for them either. The starting pitching doesn't look great to me either. Cade Cavalli is pitching for the Nats. He's in his second season, although he only made 1 start last year. This season, he has a 4.85 ERA, 1.48 whip, not good numbers. And he's been atrocious on the road, 9.45 ERA on the road. He's coming off a good start against this exact Miami team. He went 5 innings, 2 earned runs allowed on 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. So he had a good outing there. He wasn't particularly good the previous month, though he faced a bunch of pretty solid offenses. Yankees, Philly twice, A's. So the Marlins offense was a step down for him. But the fact that the Marlins just faced him and the Marlins were not familiar with him at the time, I think that means the Marlins can do a little bit better against him this time out, because a pitcher who hasn't been seen before has a little bit of an advantage more often than not, because the hitters haven't figured him out yet. But now that the hitters have just seen him, they might actually do better against him this time. I mean, it does mean that his numbers are good against Miami, but keep in mind that was all the first start that he had against Miami. They were only 2 for 16 off him, no extra base hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk for this current Miami lineup against him, 125 average, 301 OPS. But again, take that with a real grain of salt there, because second start for a newcomer like this against that same offense, it usually doesn't go as well. Jansen Junk is pitching for Miami. He's been injured for a bit. He was having a pretty good season, though, before that. He had an elbow issue, which those things could linger a little bit. Who knows? We'll see. 4.09 ERA, 1.13 whip on the season. He hasn't been a very good pitcher throughout his career, but he was pitching pretty effectively for Miami this season. He's been worse at home, though, 4.54 ERA, so both starting pitchers are in the worst of their home-road split here. He wasn't as good leading up to his injury in the month of August, 5.86 ERA, 17-5 strikeout walk ratio was fine, but he was allowing more runs. He was basically consistently going about 5 innings, allowing 3 earned runs every time out. So mediocre at best. So that means Washington did not face him recently, but they have seen him before because he's been around longer. Up against Washington, I think he faced them earlier this year, and I think he does have good numbers against them. Washington, I mean, neither team has a really good offense. Miami's is better than Washington's, but neither team very good offensively. Washington's only 3 for 13 off him with a home run from Bell, 231 average, 692 OPS. But again, now that Washington has seen Junk, at some point they might actually do a little bit better against him. So I do think the over is the way to lean in this game. The total has gone up a little bit to 8 juice to the over. 81% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the over. That's the way I would look in this game. Seems like some of the money's coming in on Miami, even though they're down from minus 128 to minus 121. 62% of tickets on them, 81% of the cash on Miami. I would worry about Miami's bullpen, though, man. Even though I know Washington's is really bad, Miami's is so unrested right now that I think if you wanted Miami, you would have to go first 5 innings. I don't really disagree that Junk generally is better than Cavalli right now, though. And Cavalli's in that, like, very tricky spot where it's now his second start against this team, and he's doing it right away. So I think that does make it a bit of a worse spot for him. Mets, Philadelphia, I'll give out at the end of the show, is one of the best bets. Cubs at Atlanta. I mean, on the surface, this looks like it's a huge starting pitching mismatch in favor of the Cubs. But when you dig into it, it seems a little bit questionable. Atlanta, they are staying at home, and they lost to Seattle badly. So I think they're going to be a little bit pissed off. They just lost the last 2 games by a combined 28-4 score. Absolutely ridiculous. 4 score. Man. I mean, that's basically how many runs they gave up in those last 2 games. Atlanta, I mean, they're playing out the stretch. They don't have a whole lot left to play for. But with the Cubs coming into their house, it might be a game that Atlanta does show up for. Cubs, obviously, are going to show up still as well. I mean, they're still fighting for playoff positioning. They're way behind in their division now, but they're in one of the playoff spots right now. I think they're trying to make sure they do get one of those playoff spots. And they're probably going to be a little bit angry because they just lost that series to Washington. So they're starting to go out on the road. I think that's a good spot for Chicago. It's a focus spot when you go out on the road. A good team like that with a couple of losses. The Cubs do have the better bullpen and the better offense here out of the 2 teams. And they have the better starting pitcher. So it's like, yeah, it does on the surface seem like it's a really cheap price on the Cubs here, it seems, on the surface. It looks almost way too easy to take the Cubs, which is why I don't really want to do it. The Cubs have some somewhat light bullpen usage, even though they used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. They didn't use many of them for very many pitches, so some of them probably are available again today. Atlanta only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, so their bullpen is pretty rested as well. Shota Imanaga is pitching for the Cubs. He's having a solid season, more than solid. 3.15 ERA, .93 whip. He's actually better on the road, I think. Oh, no, I think he was at one point better on the road, but now his ERA is almost the same between home and away. Actually, very slightly worse on the road, but not significant at all. He is pitching well. He's given up 3 or fewer earned runs in every start, going all the way back through his last start of July. I had a 32-5 strikeout walk ratio in August, 2.65 ERA. Last time out, though, he did just face this Atlanta team. So Atlanta's recently familiar with him because they just saw him, and his strikeout rate was a little bit down in that outing. He only had 2 strikeouts, but he only had 1 walk, 5 hits allowed, 3 earned runs in 6 innings. It was still a good start from him. He picked up a win, barely. They hung on for the win for him in that one. Against the Braves, he actually doesn't have good numbers in 42 at-bats, 7-4 strikeout walk ratio, 286 average allowed, and 895 OPS. So like I said, even though Imanaga is definitely the better pitcher on the surface here, if you dig into those numbers a little bit, it starts getting a little bit dicier. He's going up against Bryce Elder, who I am on record saying I don't think he's good. His numbers still are not good this season. 5.54 ERA, 1.43 whip. So again, it almost looks way too easy to just take the Cubs, who are the better team. Elder also stinks at home, 6.98 ERA at home. However, over his last 3 starts, he's gone 6 or more innings in all 3. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all of them. He has a 15-4 strikeout walk ratio over that span, and those were against the Mets, Philadelphia, and the Cubs, with the last 2 of those being on the road. So that was against 3 good hitting teams. That doesn't mean the Cubs just saw him. So both of these starting pitchers have that slight disadvantage where they both just faced this opponent. But Elder went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 unearned run, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Elder, believe it or not, is in really good form over his last few starts, man. But the Cubs did just see him, so maybe they'll bring it and hit him better this time, but they haven't been good against him in their careers, which includes that 1 start, obviously. But 48 at-bats, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio is not that great, but 167 average allowed, 487 OPS. So Elder actually has the better matchup numbers here, which is crazy to think about. And he's in really good form right now. 80% of the tickets in this game are on the Cubs and 65% of the cash on the Braves. So the money coming in on the Braves, and I know the professional money has been on the Braves a lot this year, and the Braves have mostly been a money burner. But the professionals are of the mindset that the Braves are still, they are not as bad as their record looks. Like, they have more talent than that. I do agree with that. And this line does look way too short. It's basically at a pick-em price. It's up from -110 to -111 on the Cubs. It's like literally a pick-the-winner price. It looks so short. It's like, well, how are the Cubs that small of a favorite, right? So it looks way too easy to take the Cubs. So I just don't think you can do it, man. Total's gone up a little bit, which kind of surprises me because I don't expect Imanaga to really be that bad. I mean, he's a good pitcher, and Elder does have a good matchup here. So I kind of would lean towards an under in this game. 79% of tickets on the over, 88% of the cash on the over. I somewhat disagree with that. I mean, the bullpens are both at least decent and somewhat well rested here. So, yeah, I don't really see the over in that game. It's interesting. I'm not really tempted to play Atlanta either, though. So, because I think they are on the wrong side of almost every part of the matchup, except for the specific matchup numbers against the specific lineups. I'm going to give out a play on the Brewers against the Rangers as well, which you already know what that play is going to be too. That'll be at the end of the show. Minnesota is at Anaheim. Anaheim's returning home from a road trip, I believe. Oh, no, they're staying at home. What am I saying? They returned home from a road trip last series against the A's. My apologies. And they did just win yesterday to kind of salvage that series where they were giving up a lot of runs against the A's, but they finally got it done in the final game. Beat the A's yesterday 4-3. Anaheim's staying at home. Anaheim's bullpen is terrible, though. Both of these teams have bad bullpens. I think Anaheim's is even worse than Minnesota's. Minnesota doesn't have a great offense. Anaheim has the better offense of the two. Minnesota is coming in from Kansas City, so they have to travel to the Pacific Coast from Kansas City. A little bit of a difficult spot. They did just break a loss streak, though. Break a leg, I almost said. Minnesota had 6 losses in a row, and they finally ended that loss streak. So sometimes that will give you momentum that could carry over into your next game. So maybe not necessarily the worst spot for Minnesota, but having to travel out to the Pacific Coast, still not easy. The bullpens, I mean, they're not good bullpens. Anaheim didn't use a lot of theirs over the last couple of days, but they're still not a good bullpen. Minnesota's usage has been worse over the last couple of days. Also not a good bullpen. I don't like either starter here either. Simeon Woods Richardson is pitching for Minnesota. 4.53 ERA, 1.4 whip. He's been bad on the road, 5.95 road ERA. Had a decent start last time out against against the White Sox. The Cubs, it would be a lot more impressive. White Sox, he went 5 innings, 2 earned runs, allowed 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. More strikeouts than you usually get out of him, but the number of walks was too high. I don't trust him, man. I really don't. His starts before that were all pretty bad. He actually came back from injury the start before then, didn't do well at Toronto. Prior to getting injured, he didn't do well either. He'd gone 4 starts in a row, failing to even make it 5 innings. I'm not expecting much out of him in this game. His numbers against Anaheim, it's a small sample size, 15 at bats, although most of their hitters have faced him at least once. He has 6 strikeouts, no walks against them, but a 267 average, 733 OPS, 1 home run allowed from Nito, who was 3 for 3 off him. So his numbers are mediocre against Anaheim. Anaheim's got the very young Caden Dana pitching for them. He's only 21 years old, so there is definitely room for improvement here. He pitched last year a little bit for Anaheim, and he did not do well last year. He's improved on that a little bit this year with a 4.91 ERA, 1.36 whip. So he's trending in the right direction, but he hasn't been good at home this year, 7.5 ERA. I know it's a very small sample. He's only pitched 3 times so far, and he's coming off his one good start so far where he lasted 5 innings against Kansas City, gave up 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, but that was against Kansas City. Very weak lineup in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Minnesota's not a very intimidating lineup either, though. And Minnesota's never faced Dana before, so he might have a little bit of an edge just because he has the unfamiliarity there where Minnesota might struggle to figure him out at first. So I do think there are reasons to lean towards Anaheim here. They do have the better offense. They don't have to worry about the travel. The travel spot that Minnesota is in is bad, and I do think Anaheim has a starter that might be in a better position here to do better in this game. Anaheim's down from minus 128 to minus 118 on the money line, but they do have 76% of the cash on them, and 80% of the tickets are on Minnesota. So Minnesota is public here, which is interesting. And Anaheim is taking the cash. So we'll see what happens, man, again, in that game. But yeah, I mean, I would lean towards Anaheim. I do agree with the market in that one. I worry a little bit about that, though. I mean, Dana, I don't know if one star can really make you completely trust him. I mean, he could potentially implode. I would slightly lean to an over in this game, too, although after the total went up to 9.5, it's now money coming in the under. So it does look like that was kind of a setup where the professionals just wanted to drive that up to the key 9.5 so they could take the under 9.5. 71% of tickets are on the over, 59% of the cash on the under. There's no way I would trust an under with those 2 bullpens, though, man. So, I mean, I would slightly lean to the over there, but I think the better look is the Anaheim side in that game. Maybe even full game, I guess. But if you want to exclude Anaheim's bullpen, first 5 innings might be where they have the biggest edge, although both bullpens are bad. So, I guess you're gambling a little bit by including the bullpens. Cincinnati at San Diego. San Diego's returning home from a quick trip to Colorado. They won the last 2 games of that. I don't consider that to really be a road trip return because they were only gone for a few days. So it's not really a spot where you've been gone for a long time and you have a lot of stuff to do back at home. San Diego's got to still fight, man. They're in a wild card spot right now. They could potentially win their division still as well because the Dodgers have not been playing well. So San Diego's got stuff to play for. Cincinnati is trying to hang on. They're 1 game above 500. They're trying to potentially make a wild card spot. They did just beat the Mets twice. So they beat one of their wild card opponents, one of their teams who's their wild card competition there. Now they're starting a road trip, but going out to the Pacific Coast might be a little bit of an issue because you have to adjust to the time zone. So usually starting a road trip, you will be focused, but they're coming off some big wins. They're having to go out to the Pacific Coast. Again, the travel spot's a little bit iffy there for them. San Diego is one of the teams that's particularly good at home as well. They have a much better home record than road record. San Diego has the better bullpen. Cincinnati, I would say, has the better offense probably. San Diego's has really kind of struggled this year, although they moved up a little bit. Actually, San Diego's overtaken Cincinnati by .01 in team OPS, so that's crazy. San Diego's offense is actually finally broken out a little bit, because throughout most of the season, they had been the worst of the two offenses. So both offenses are mediocre at this point. If you look at the season as a whole, San Diego definitely has a better bullpen. Both bullpens are rested, though, coming into this one. Even though Cincinnati had that close win yesterday, and I gave them out on the show, and they were able to get that thing done for us as a win on the show for us. Nick Lodolo is pitching for Cincinnati, 3.22 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. He's having a good season. Good on the road, 2.52 ERA, and this is a pitcher-friendly park, so it's the opposite of where he pitches at home, which is a hitter-friendly park. He had his start pushed back, though, so you might have to worry about his scheduling a little bit, because he was supposed to start a few days ago, I think, and his start didn't happen, if you remember that, because I gave it out on the show. I gave out an under in the first 5 innings or something, and then he got scratched, and I said, well, because usually almost every time it's implied that when you make one of my baseball plays, you're saying these pitchers must start, which is usually the default anyway, unless I say otherwise. That is the case. So when I gave that one out, he got scratched, so it wound up not being a play. Luckily, because it would have been wrong. With Lodolo pitching, it may have not been wrong. But his last start wasn't that good against the Dodgers. But again, he did get hurt, so we'll see what happens. He's having a good season overall, but because he's been dealing with the injury, he's coming back. I worry a little bit about that, even though at this point you could argue that he's a veteran. And sometimes when these veterans come back, they do well because they're like pumped up to get back out there. But again, I do worry a little bit about it, about his scheduled start, which he was scheduled to start it a few days ago. I worry about that being pushed back a bit. And his injury, I think, is probably related to blisters. He's had finger blister issues recently. He has 45 at-bats in his career against San Diego, and he's done well against them. 12-3 strikeout walk ratio, 200 average allowed, 561 OPS allowed. So Lodolo has done well against San Diego. San Diego is going to go with Yu Darvish. 5.75 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. So his WHIP is good. His WHIP indicates that his ERA should be better. I mean, he started the season pretty late. He is an aged veteran at this point, but he has been better at home this year, 3.55 ERA. He's still been struggling a little bit, though, man. It's not a good sign that 3 of his last 4 starts, he only lasted 4 innings. He gave up 3 or more in runs in all 3 of those. Had 1 good start there against the Dodgers there, but his last start was at home against Baltimore, and he still didn't do that well. Again, only lasted 4 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs. Did have 6 strikeouts. His strikeout walk ratio has been all right recently. Usually his walks tend to be a bit of a concern for him usually, but it's kind of a mixed bag with him, man. It's really hard to gauge what you're going to get out of Darvish. Against Cincinnati in his career, his numbers are good. It's not a huge sample, but 33 at-bats, 8-3 strikeout walk ratio, 212 average, 520 OPS. So overall, he's been fine, better than fine against Cincinnati. We have a pretty low total here. It's 7.5, although it's gone up a little bit. Juice to the over now. 76% of tickets, 80% of the cash on the over. I would probably still lean to an under, though, man, because you're looking at 2 either decent or good bullpens here that are decently rested. Pitcher-friendly park, mediocre offenses. Both starters have good matchup numbers, at least, so I slightly lean to an under in this game. And San Diego has 84% of tickets and only 72% of the cash, so they are a public side there, which I would agree with the Cincinnati side as well. Just I think Darvish is a little bit more questionable. If you go with Cincinnati, maybe you want to go first 5 innings because San Diego does have a bullpen advantage here. So maybe Cincinnati first 5 innings money line makes a little bit of sense there as well. St. Louis at Seattle. When you first look at this, the scheduling spot is not good for Seattle. They're returning home from a long road trip. They were on the road for 3 series. They went to the East Coast, so they're having to travel across the country, readjust to the time zone, 3 hours difference, no time off. They just ended the road trip with a bang. Like I said, they beat Atlanta, scoring 28 runs over the last 2 games. So, yeah, it's a bad scheduling spot for Seattle. They got to return home. They got to get back to home life, whatever. They do need to keep winning because they're trying to maintain a wild card spot. Or actually, I think they're out of the wild card spots right now. They're battling with my Red Sox for one of them. They could potentially win the division. Actually, I think they're closer to being a division leader than a wild card right now. So Seattle does still need to play. They need to get these wins, but are they really going to be focused on St. Louis? I'm not so sure about that. St. Louis does have to travel to the Pacific Coast as well, but they're starting a road trip with some momentum, as they did just win 2 series in a row against the Bay Area teams, or the former Bay Area A's and the Bay Area San Francisco Giants. Going out on the road with momentum, though, is a better spot. Certainly a better spot than what Seattle is in, though. So St. Louis might actually bring some focus in this game. Both teams have pretty solid bullpens for the most part, and they're both pretty rested here. So the bullpen situation looks pretty good for both teams. Seattle has the better offense. St. Louis's offense has been terrible recently. So something to keep in mind there. Where is Seattle? Now, Seattle's dropped a little bit as far as their bullpen ERA, but they're still pretty good. The problem with playing against Seattle, though, is the starting pitching matchup is really, really against St. Louis here. So that's the problem I have with this, man. Like, this looks like a really nice spot to fade Seattle. I was hoping it would be a better pitching matchup to do that, but you're getting Seattle's best pitcher basically against one of the Cardinals' worst, so I don't think we can really do it, man. Miles Mikolas is pitching for the Cardinals. Not great numbers this year, 4.89 ERA, 1.33 whip. He's been really bad on the road, 6.79 road ERA, although I know this is a pitcher-friendly park, but he's not that good, man. He has allowed 1 earned run apiece in his last 2 outings, which is solid, but one was against the Pirates, the league's worst batting, and against the A's, he didn't strike out anybody, so that is definitely a bit concerning, even though he held them pretty much off the board. I don't trust Mikolas in this spot. Against Seattle, his numbers are pretty horrific. In 78 at-bats, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio is all right, but 359 batting average allowed, 1,000 OPS. Very bad, but if you're looking for player props here, Eugenio Suarez, who was one of the pickups for Seattle at the trade deadline, they got him from Arizona. He's 9 for 19 with 4 home runs against Mikolas, with 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. That is crazy. So out of the 5 home runs Mikolas has allowed to Seattle, 4 of them are Suarez. It's like they picked him up just for this specific game, man. Not really, but that would be crazy if they did. So I don't trust Mikolas, though, in this spot. Brian Wu is pitching for Seattle. He is obviously the better of the 2 pitchers. It's not even close. 3.02 ERA, 0.97 whip. He's really good at home, 2.35 ERA at home. Seattle, pretty much all their pitchers better at home, as I always say. He's coming off kind of an iffy start against Tampa Bay, but that was at a very hitter-friendly ballpark in Tampa. It's not an easy place to pitch. Gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks, a little bit concerning, but Wu by no means isn't bad at form right now. Last month, he had a 39-6 strikeout walk ratio, 2.27 ERA. He allowed no more than 3 earned runs in any start across that entire span. The one thing about Wu, though, is that this is the most innings he's ever thrown by far. So he's been ramping it up since he joined the league in 2023. This is his longest season. This is basically his first actual full season in the majors, but he's already gone about 40. He's gone 48 innings basically over what his inning count was last year, and he hasn't shown really signs of wearing down. He's still been really good over the past month, so maybe we don't really have to worry about that with Wu. He is the better of the 2 pitchers here, and up against St. Louis. Let me see. I was looking at the Braves there. I was like, man, his numbers aren't that good. Small sample size. So St. Louis has actually never even seen Wu before, so Wu should have a bit of an extra advantage there because St. Louis has never seen him before. So there's just no way that I can come in and fade Seattle in this one. Seattle's up from -200 to -215, although they're public, 87% of tickets. Obviously, they would be a public side here. 80% of the cash. I mean, St. Louis doesn't have a whole lot left to play for, really, though. But I think they will get up for a game like this, though, against a good offense to start a road trip. You want to kick it off on the right foot. I would still have a slight lean to St. Louis just because of the situation. You could take like a run line with them to come close, but it worries me a bit. Money is kind of coming in on the under as well, sitting at 7.5 here, down from 7.5 juice to the over. 95% of tickets, only 85% of the cash on the over. I don't know if I would trust that either. I don't know if you could trust Mikolas at all. Arizona at San Francisco. This game is actually going to be televised on Fox Sports 1. I think it's basically the one national televised game, although Mets Philadelphia is on MLB Network. San Francisco's returning home from a road trip, and they went to Colorado and St. Louis, so not the greatest spot for San Francisco. They lost their win streak 2 days ago as well, got hung over into the last game, it looks like. So again, returning home from a road trip tends to not be a great spot. San Francisco probably is resigned to the fact that they know they're not going to make the playoffs at this point, even though they did just get really hot. Arizona's only a half game behind them. Arizona did just lose a win streak, though, Finally, the Red Sox were able to salvage a win in that series. Arizona, when you lose a win streak like that, sometimes it will hang you over, but they are starting a road trip, and they're actually traveling less than San Francisco is, so going out on the road might be a bit of a better spot for Arizona, really. And Arizona, a half game behind San Francisco. They know they're out of it. They might actually be a little bit more motivated than San Francisco here. But the pitching matchup looks like it's very in favor of San Francisco. San Francisco has the way better bullpen. Arizona has the way better offense, though. So Arizona's got a scheduling edge here and an offensive edge here. But usually I like the pitching better. Pitching matters more than hitting. Typically, but San Francisco, they definitely have the better bullpen, even though they used a little bit yesterday. The usage was similar from Arizona. Arizona has the worst bullpen, and Arizona's starting pitching. I think the starting pitching is not even close. It's a huge mismatch in favor of San Francisco. Nabil Krismat is pitching for the Diamondbacks. I don't know what you're going to get out of this guy, man. I don't think he's very good. He does have a 2.14 ERA, which is kind of ridiculous because his whip is 1.33, so indicative that his ERA should be higher. He is worse on the road, 2.53 ERA, even though this is a pitcher-friendly ballpark in San Francisco. He hasn't been good this season, man. He has a 14-6 strikeout walk ratio, which is not good. It's not a high strikeout rate. It's not a lot of walks. So again, the fact that his ERA is that low, I think it's misleading. He's only made 4 starts this year, or 4 appearances at least. I don't know if they were all starts, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs in all of them. But again, I think it's misleading. He's not as good as that. Logan Webb is obviously the much more established pitcher and the much more trustworthy pitcher here for San Francisco. 3.17 ERA, 1.23 whip. He's good at home, 2.85 home ERA. He's been good over the past month. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only twice. And more than 3 only once. San Francisco's won 5 of his last 6 starts. He's picked up wins in 4 of those. Pitched well in Coors Field last time out, giving up 2 earned runs in 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, pretty solid, especially given it's a bad ballpark to pitch in. High elevation. Now he's going up against a D-backs team that can hit, but he's done pretty well against them in the past. 121 at bats, 25-6 strikeout walk ratio, 256 batting average, 630 OPS allowed. So Webb does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup here, even though it is a bad spot for San Francisco. They had 79% of tickets, only 78% of the cash on San Francisco, so they are public with a little bit of the money coming in against them. Money seems to be coming in on the over a little bit as well, but I wouldn't really agree with that in a ballpark like this with a bad San Francisco offense with Logan Webb on the mound. I mean, if you want to go Arizona, it's really tough to argue for Arizona here, man, just because they have a pitching disadvantage throughout the entire game. So basically it's bad situation for San Francisco, but pitching edge in a big-time way for San Francisco. So it's like which one of those wins out? It's very, very difficult to figure that out. So I don't like that game at all. Red Sox are at the A's. The Red Sox are traveling in from Arizona. It is a worse spot for the A's, I would say, even though they are staying on the Pacific Coast. They did just have a road trip to St. Louis and then Anaheim. Lost the last game. Now they're returning home. They might get up for it because it is a game against the Red Sox. It's a team that carries a lot of weight behind their name, and they're facing one of the best pitchers in baseball here. So the A's might get up for it, but when you're a team like the A's that's out of it, sometimes when you return home, it's a little bit of a distracted spot because you've been away from home for a while. Red Sox, not a huge deal having to travel from Arizona up to Sacramento. I don't think so. I believe it's a shift of 1 time zone. Although Arizona basically doesn't have, they not even have time zones. I don't even know what they have going on in Arizona. Red Sox did break a 3-game loss streak with a win yesterday. The Red Sox offense does have some injuries right now. Both offenses are good. The A's offense is better than the Red Sox offense, although it's slight. But given that the Red Sox have a bunch of injuries, the A's offensive edge is a little bit more than that. But the Red Sox have a big bullpen edge here. However, how is the Red Sox pitching going to do in this A's ballpark? I don't know, but I mean, the A's haven't even really done well in their own home. I mean, it's not really their own home stadium either. It's a AAA ballpark that they're playing in, so it hasn't really been an advantage for the A's. Red Sox do have the better bullpen. I didn't use a ton of it yesterday. They did use Chapman, though, and he had 4 strikeouts in 1 inning because a guy reached on a strikeout. Don't see that usually. Chapman has been really, really lights out, which is crazy. The A's definitely have the worst bullpen, and they had a little bit more usage yesterday than the Red Sox did as well. Red Sox have Garrett Crochet pitching. We know he's good. 2.67 ERA, 1.08 whip on the season. Better on the road, too. 2.46 road ERA. This is a difficult park to pitch in. He kind of got launched in his last game, man. He gave up 4 home runs to Cleveland, even though he did have 4 strikeouts, no walks, went 6 innings. They still won the game. The Red Sox did, but that was a bad start from Crochet. You got to kind of figure out, like, is that an outlier, though? Because he was good throughout the month of August. 3.19 ERA, 39-4 strikeout walk ratio. The one thing to watch with Crochet is he's well over the most innings he's ever thrown in a season, although to me it doesn't really show that he's, like, totally wearing down, although I guess it's a little bit of a concern that he did give up that many hard hits to a Cleveland team that doesn't hit very well. But he was pitching well prior to that, so you could maybe chalk that up to being an outlier. So it's difficult to tell. Is he wearing down? I don't know, man. I worry about him a little bit coming into this game. The A's have Luis Morales pitching. Oh, wait, I forgot to say. Crochet against the A's. Let me see here. Crochet against the A's does have good numbers. It's a small 13 at-bat sample size, though. 5 strikeouts, no walks, 154 average allowed, 462 OPS. So he does have good matchup numbers. Luis Morales is pitching for the A's, though, and he still doesn't even have a headshot on ESPN's website yet. He's been pretty good, man. He has a 1.59 ERA and 0.99 whip in his rookie season here. He's actually been better in this stadium, go figure, 1.29 ERA here. So he has the advantage of the splits. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his outings. He's gotten at least 5 innings in his last 4 outings, which were all starts, and he gave up 2 or fewer earned runs in every one of those. Like I said, 1 or fewer in all of them except his most recent one. On the season, he's got a 30-11 strikeout walk ratio. He's allowed fewer hits than innings pitched by quite a bit, which is also really good. He's been really difficult to hit, man. Even in that start against St. Louis last time, it was on the road, gave up 2 earned runs, 5 2/3 innings. Morales, he kind of looks like he's the real deal, man. I mean, he's consistently pitching well, and of course, the Red Sox have never faced him before, so that gives him an edge against this Red Sox lineup. It's an interesting one, man. Where are we looking here? Red Sox, they're public, 71% of the tickets. They do have 85% of the cash on them, though. They're up from -160 to -163. I don't know, man. I think Morales could duel Crochet in the early part of this game, and Morales is the fresher pitcher because he hasn't pitched that much this season. So I could see an argument for the A's because it's an unfamiliar environment to the Red Sox, too. I could see a bit of an argument for the A's in the first 5 innings, though I don't really want to do that in the return home spot. The under in the first 5 innings seems to make sense to me, too. I mean, I wouldn't want to deal with the A's bullpen, but I could see both pitchers doing fairly well here. 77% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the over, though, and the total's up to 9. Although that is a pretty low total for a game at this Sacramento stadium. Usually you see 10 or above. So some interesting stuff going on there. Maybe some ways to think about that game. And then Colorado at the Dodgers is very difficult to handicap. Dodgers have not decided on a starting pitcher, and they're still -340 on the money line. I mean, there's no value in doing that, man. Dodgers, you don't even know who their starting pitcher is going to be. They're returning home from a road trip to the East Coast where they finally won a game against Baltimore. After the previous game, Yamamoto had the no-hitter dashed with 1 out to go, and then they wound up actually losing the game 4-3, but they finally bounced back. So the Dodgers did break a 5-game loss streak. They're still trying to maintain their lead in the NL West here. I mean, the Dodgers, once they make the playoffs, they're still going to be dangerous, though. But they're in a bad spot here, returning home across country, man. So it's not a great spot for them, even though they did just break their losing momentum. Yes, they do have to show up and keep winning to keep pace with San Diego here. Dodgers, they would like to win the division, obviously, and probably improve their seeding as well. You know, Colorado's going to be focused, though. I mean, this is one of the types of games they will show up for against the team that's leading their division. They did just lose those last couple of games to San Diego, like I said, but they're going out on the road now, so I think it's a little bit better spot for them. They're only traveling in from Colorado, so it's less of a time zone shift for them. Going out on the road, you tend to be a bit more focused. They got Chase Dollander on the mound, who is at least a young, talented pitcher, even though I know his numbers suck this year. 6.77 ERA, 1.6 whip, but he's actually been pretty serviceable on the road. 3.64 road ERA, so pitching at Coors Field has been really bad for him, but he's been better on the road, man. So there's something to consider there. It's basically like you can't even really look at what his recent numbers are necessarily because he's just so much worse at home than he is on the road. Up against the Dodgers, his numbers are not great. In 28 at-bats, 4-3 strikeout walk ratio, 286 batting average allowed, 783 OPS allowed, but he just faced them at home, remember, and they lit him up in Coors Field. So that was, I think, the only time the Dodgers faced him, but that does mean, oh no, they faced him twice, what am I saying? Both times in Coors Field. The first time he did a little bit better, but he only had one strikeout. He had more strikeouts last time out, but didn't do as well. But that was their second time facing him, so they were more familiar with him. But this is on the road this time, man, so he might actually do better. It's a bad spot for the Dodgers. We don't even know who their starting pitcher is, but honestly, and I know Colorado has the worst bullpen. Both bullpens are bad, but Colorado, you don't really want any part of that bullpen. They're not that well rested either. Dodgers a little bit better rested here. Colorado, I could see an argument for taking Colorado on the run line in the first 5 innings, man. You probably get a really big price on them, and Dollander on the road actually might be able to hold them in this game, especially if the Dodgers are going with like a bullpen game or some garbage here. That is a possibility that Colorado can kind of hang around for the first part of this game. So that's probably the way that I would lean there. I don't know what else I was going to say there, but that's about it. Although the Dodgers are really, they're a good offense at home. They're like the best offense runs per game wise at home in all baseball. Let's get to the best bets. All right, yeah, we'll get to the best bets because they're both in baseball. Actually, that was the breakdown. I always forget to throw the graphics out there, man. And then I will talk about Monday Night Football really quick. Don't want this video to go that long, though. We do have 2 plays, and I'm worried about this first play now because the money seems to have shifted against it. But first play is the Mets minus 120. I know this is revenge for Philadelphia, okay? Philadelphia just got swept on the road by the Mets, but it's not road revenge at least. So at least Philadelphia didn't get swept at home against them. But Philadelphia, they're definitely sitting more comfortably, man. So the Mets have to have more motivation here because the Mets are trying to make sure they at least stay ahead of those wild card teams, and the Mets probably want to beat Philadelphia more than Philadelphia wants to beat them because the Mets are behind them, man. The Mets need to close the gap. Philadelphia's returning home from a road trip, and you know I keep harping on that. When teams return home from road trips, they can lack focus a little bit, and I know it's a game against the Mets, but again, I think the game means a little bit more to the Mets here. Philadelphia lost a win streak against Miami with that last game yesterday too, so not really the greatest spot for Philadelphia here. Philadelphia has the worst bullpen, so I think if you're taking the Mets here, you're getting the better pitching all around here, man. Philadelphia only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, though, so their bullpen's rested, but so is the Mets. The Mets have one of the more rested bullpens in baseball right now, so the Mets bullpen, I think, is fine to go with, even though they're kind of a mediocre bullpen. The Phillies bullpen is still worse on the season in ERA fairly significantly. And then we're looking at, obviously, the hitting. Well, actually not obvious. I was going to say, obviously, Philadelphia has the better bats, but they actually don't. The Mets have been so good recently offensively that they've now overtaken the Phillies in OPS, at least on the season. So the Mets don't even really have a hitting disadvantage here. They've actually been the better hitting team recently. Philadelphia, I think they do hit better at home, though. But I do think the Mets have an edge in the starting pitching here with Nolan McLean pitching. Really, really talented rookie for the Mets here. 1.37 ERA, 0.76 whip. He's been great. He is a little bit worse on the road, 2.77 ERA on the road. I mean, his ERA at home is 0. And the one thing that does worry me is, yes, I know Philadelphia did just face him, but even if they're familiar with him now and he does worse this time out, which that is a factor. Philadelphia is completely unfamiliar with him the first time. They're going to know what he's going to throw at them this time, but still, he shut them out for 8 innings, man. 6 strikeouts, no walks, 4 hits allowed. He's continuing to pitch well, and even if he does a little bit worse, I still don't think he's going to get absolutely hammered in this game. I hope I don't have to eat my words, but he's got a nice 28-7 strikeout walk ratio so far. He's only allowed 13 hits in 26 1/3 innings. He is pitching well, man. He's allowed 2 or 0 earned runs in every outing. He's got at least 6 innings in all of his outings except his debut, which was an outing where he did walk 4, and he did walk 3 in his most recent outing at Detroit, but still a good start. Gave up 2 earned runs, only 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. Difficult place to pitch, too. So I'm fine with Nolan McLean in this one, man. His numbers against Philly, of course, are good. And 27 at-bats, a lot of at-bats because he lasted 8 innings. They didn't even have an extra base hit off him. 6 strikeouts, no walks, 148 average, 296 OPS. So I still expect him to do well here, man. I know it looks weird to lay a price with the Mets on the road here. They flipped from plus 109 to minus 120 here, so the initial money did flip them to the favor, although we see 68% of tickets, 62% of the cash on the Mets. So that makes me worry slightly now that the Mets are a public team, but I don't really see how the Mets could be that public, because you got to think the public is going to be looking at this and actually thinking that maybe it will be revenge for Philadelphia, because they got to be looking at this and thinking, well, wait a minute, Philadelphia has the better record, so how are they an underdog here? And yes, the other thing I'm concerned about is the Mets are bad on the road. They're 9 games below 500 on the road. Philadelphia really good at home, 12 games above 500 at home. So yes, that does worry me. But again, the odds makers are not just giving money away here. So I don't actually think the public is looking at that and taking the Mets, laying a favorite price on the road like that. That doesn't jive with the way that I look at these games, man. And the other part of this handicap is that Aaron Nola is pitching for Philadelphia, and I know throughout his career, he's been a lot better than this. He should be better than this, but he's struggling to come back from, I think he had Tommy John surgery. He's trying to come back from that. And sometimes guys, when they're in their 30s like he is, sometimes it doesn't take. His season has been really, really rough. It's been rough, guys. 6.78 ERA, 1.51 whip. He's been slightly better at home, 6.55 ERA at home. Really hasn't been good, man. Since coming back from injury in August, he's allowed 4 or more runs in 3 of the 4 outings, even though Philly did win 3 of the 4. Last time out against the Mets, a good lineup. He got hit a little bit hard. He gave up 6 earned runs, although he did only give up 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, 6.66. Not good, though. So you want to stay away from this demon. Did only have 2 walks. I mean, it wasn't as bad of a start as it looked like, I guess, but he is allowing a lot of runs recently, man. Allowing too many hits as well, allowing too many home runs. He's allowed 4 home runs over those 4 outings. And he faced mostly fairly weak offenses. Washington twice, and then Atlanta, and then Milwaukee was the only really solid offense that he faced. But now he's facing a Mets offense that's been one of the best in baseball over the last few weeks. And his numbers against the Mets are not great, and they have a ton of experience against him. They have 298 at-bats against him. He has a pretty bad 84-42 strikeout walk ratio. That is a ton of walks. 279 batting average and 854 OPS. And they do have 16 home runs off him. So they have a lot of familiarity with him, and they've been able to hit him pretty well. So a lot more familiarity on that side, even though I know it is a factor that when a team faces a new pitcher for the second time, they tend to do better. But to me, this looks like it's a big pitching edge to the Mets here, man. It's situational edge. Mets, I think, actually have the bullpen edge and the offensive edge at this point, too. So I like the Mets in this game, man. And the Mets, I think, have a little bit of a motivational edge here, too, even though it is a little bit of revenge for Philadelphia. I like the Mets in that one, so we'll go with the Mets money line there. Sorry, I wasn't getting to the comments, guys. Jody, Bills-Ravens was an easy over. I liked the under in that game yesterday, man. I mean, both offenses are really, really good, but I thought the public was definitely on the over in that game. It was a Sunday night game. I thought it was going to be more of like a playoff atmosphere, and that was going to look more like that playoff game. I thought it was going to be like 24-21, like something in that ballpark. It was crazy to see that. Nate, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. And then let's get to the final play, which is Milwaukee minus 120. I know we're going with Some road favorites that maybe almost look too easy. Milwaukee, though, where are we at here? Where are they? This is a National League game, I think, isn't it? Or is it? No, is it interleague? It is interleague. Yeah, what am I saying? Milwaukee, they look like they do have a lot of the cash on them. They have only 57% of tickets, but 89% of the cash on them. So, surprisingly, Milwaukee's not that public. They're down from minus 118 to minus 113. Something's got to give here, man. Texas, they give up very few runs at home, but Milwaukee scores a lot of runs on the road. But Texas's bullpen has actually been pretty bad recently, so that's part of the handicap, man. Texas's bullpen really, really hurt me in that last series, or almost did. We did get the win on the Texas side on that one play, and then the under got smashed by Texas's bullpen, which you wouldn't have thought because they have a pretty good bullpen, but in this game, man, I think Texas is in a little bit of a hangover spot, a little bit of a letdown spot. They're coming off a big divisional series against Houston. Yes, I know Texas is still trying to play for a wild card spot or to potentially win the division here. I get that. They're in the mix there, but that was a big series, man. Probably bigger than an interleague series is to them. Milwaukee coming in off of sweeping Pittsburgh, so they're already in the middle of a road trip. They got some momentum, and they look like they're playing with some motivation still. I mean, sweeping Pittsburgh, they didn't lack focus against Pittsburgh, so I think they will show up in this game, even though they have decent padding in their division, but some of this is about the matchup as well. Milwaukee does have the significantly better offense, so there is that. Texas's offense is not good. Milwaukee's the top 10 offense. Texas is a bottom 4 offense, so that's not good for Texas. Texas, again, their bullpen hasn't been as good recently. They did use a decent amount of it in that series, too, so that worries me. Milwaukee's bullpen is actually one of the more rested in baseball, so I'm fine with going full game on this. Milwaukee actually, their bullpen has actually moved up to actually, where am I looking? Let me see. Milwaukee, they're up to 10th in bullpen ERA, so they're right behind Texas now. Texas 9th. So there's not a huge even bullpen discrepancy between the two teams at this point. And I think we have a starting pitching edge, believe it or not, with Jose Quintana for the Mets, even though I don't really love him. I mean, he's a junk pitcher, but he's a veteran who kind of knows how to get through these games, man. He's got a 3.72 ERA. I know his whip isn't very good, 1.31 whip. That does worry me a little bit, but he's been way better on the road, 2.57 ERA, and this is a pitcher-friendly park against a pretty weak offense. So I think he should do pretty well here. He did pretty well last time out against Philly, even though that's a good offense. 3 earned runs. He did walk too many guys, though, 3. So I am worried that he has multiple walks in his last 3 outings. But the last 2 were against Philly and Arizona, so he's really stepping down in class to face this Texas lineup that really does not hit well. And against Texas, he's done really well. They're 1 for 24 against him lifetime with no extra base hits. The only hit was a single from Moore. 11 strikeouts, no walks, 0.42 average, 0.83 OPS. So I know it's not a big sample size, but Quintana has really had his way with this Texas offense. So I think he's the much more preferable pitcher to Jacob Latz, who's getting the call for Texas. His numbers are all right this year, 3.15 ERA, 1.28 whip, but he's a converted reliever. He's in his late 20s. I just don't think he's as good as his numbers look. 2.76 ERA at home. I know he's better at home, but he hasn't really had like a full starter's workload very often this season. I know he's done it in his last start. He pitched decently at Arizona, went 5 1/3, but he only had 1 strikeout, 2 walks, held them to 2 earned runs, which is good, but I don't think he's a very trustworthy pitcher, man. I don't think he's going to go that deep into this game. And then you're going to have to deal with Texas's bullpen situation here where they're not that rested. It's a situation I don't really love, man. So hopefully you don't hear the landscaping that's going on up front either. But yeah, anyway, I don't trust Latz here, man. I don't think he's going to last. Jacob Last. I don't think he's going to last that long in this outing here against this Milwaukee offense, man. So, yeah, I don't think he's that trustworthy. Milwaukee does only have 6 at-bats against him, but they do have a 3.33 average, 7.62 OPS off him, 2-to-1 strikeout-walk ratio. So I think Quintana is the more trustworthy pitcher here, and that's the way we're going to go with the Brewers in that one. Those are the 2 best bets. And we have Monday Night Football. This game is not going to be a game I'm going to give out a play on. It's a little bit difficult to read. The Vikings moved up from a pick 'em to a 1-point road favorite. And, the odds makers, they're not really throwing money away here by lining the Vikings as a favorite. And to me, I thought the Bears would be the more public side here because everybody kind of likes they buy into the Caleb Williams thing. The Bears have Ben Johnson now as their offensive coordinator. He's a good, as their head coach. He was Detroit's offensive coordinator. He's an offensive mind. He's a very good offensive coach. But I think there's going to be some growing pains here, man, for the Bears. They have to implement his new system. They have to get used to it. I don't really trust Caleb Williams, as you know, on the show. I don't think Caleb Williams is that good. There are some reports out there that he doesn't really understand the offense. He's not that smart. I don't like him. 57% of tickets, 66% of the cash on the Bears, but I kind of lean in the other direction here as it stands right now. Don't know if that might change as I watch the market throughout the day, but we'll see. But the Vikings, even though I know they have a rookie quarterback making his first actual start, J.J. McCarthy, he did play in the preseason, so at least he has some games under his belt. And the one other thing about McCarthy is at least he knows the system because he was here last year. He was supposed to be their starter last year, but he got injured in the preseason last year. So at least he was there learning the system. He was studying behind Sam Darnold, who I don't think is that good. I mean, Darnold made that horrific mistake. They were about to win the game against San Francisco yesterday, and they were like within the San Francisco 10-yard line, and Darnold like ran into his own offensive lineman or hit his own offensive lineman with his with his throwing arm and fumbled the football away and lost the game. That was brutal. Sam Darnold, not actually good. Darnold was a product of the system here, man, and that's why I also think McCarthy will be okay in this game because the Vikings are a system. I think they have the better coach as it stands right now. Kevin O'Connell, he's actually a solid coach, man. I'm not going to say that he's necessarily better than Ben Johnson, but at least he's a more experienced head coach. I mean, he's been there for a while. His system has been in place here with Minnesota for a while. And again, McCarthy has spent the last year learning it at the very least. So I think it's going to really be like kind of a plug and play with McCarthy. I don't think they're going to put him in a position that's going to, force him to have to like shoulder the load here because he has a lot of talent around him on this offense, man. I mean, they got solid talent, especially Justin Jefferson. So, and they got one of the league's best tight ends, Hawkinson. They got, who's their running back? I can't even remember. They have solid offensive players though, man. So I don't think that, McCarthy's going to come out there and be asked to do too much, let me see. Right, they have Aaron Jones now, and they've got Jordan Mason, man, who was really good when he came in when Christian McCaffrey was hurt last year. Mason was on the 49ers last year. He was really, really good. So this is actually a sick running back tandem. Jones was good last year. I had him on my fantasy team last year. And they picked up Adam Thielen, so that's going to help them with their wide receiver depth, while Addison, who's on my fantasy team, is Allison, I get those names confused all the time. Whichever it is, while he's on the suspension list there for whatever the hell he did, probably drunk driving or some shit. But anyway, yeah, I think the Vikings are the way to look here, man. And I think they actually have the better defense. I mean, the Bears may have a decent defense and may generally be improved, but this Vikings defense, I think, is going to be pretty menacing. I think the Bears' O-line has a lot of problems, which is also not going to help Caleb Williams. I think the Vikings could give him a lot of problems here. The Vikings, yeah, they're a pretty solid defense, man, and they will attack you. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty blitz-heavy scheme coming from the Minnesota Vikings there. So again, yeah, I think the Vikings, there's more continuity there right now. So in the first game, I do think that matters. So I think the Vikings are the side that I would look for in this game. What color? Yeah, you should be able to bet on that every time. There should be a Caleb Williams nail color prop, man. But anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for me, man. He was drunkenly racing while shooting guns, yeah, and punching his pregnant girlfriend. That sounds right. Whatever his name is, is it Addison or Allison? I got to look that up. I don't even know. But he's on my fantasy team, man. I have Rashee Rice, too. My team are the Thugs. Although, because I have Cortland Sutton on my team is called Sutton on the Dock of the Bay. But I lost this week because I got a 0 from Xavier Worthy because my opponent's tight end, Travis Kelce, injured. Kelce is how he says it because he's gay. Injured my wide receiver there in Worthy, so I took a 0 from Worthy. Would have been a lot closer of a matchup, man. I scored over 100 points this week, despite the 0 from Worthy, in a half-point PPR, which is a solid score, and I still lost. I think going up against the commissioner, so I'm not happy about that. It was either against him or his father. I forget because they have the same name, and I forget which one of the because it says the same name on the thing. I forget which one of them is which. But that's going to do it for me, man. Once again, Mets and Brewers money line. Those are the two plays today. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Bettor Off Dead. Like, subscribe to the channel, man. If you haven't already, get more people to come over here. Review on Spotify and Apple, man. Give me a good review over there. Everything helps out. Covered in Uke is my Uke project on YouTube. I got to get my last couple of covers up there. And then patreon.com/learn-to-toad. There's a Spotify Uke feed, which I'm a little bit behind on that. I apologize. I got to get a couple of those covers up there as well. My voice sucks right now, too. So hopefully that gets better. Talking on this show all the time doesn't do me any favors. So I have to somehow, maybe I have to dial it back a little bit because I'm talking into a mic here, man. So if you can hear me talking like this, maybe I should just... I got to find a way to just not talk as loudly, man. I don't know what to do, but that's going to do it. Everybody, have a happy Monday. Let's kick off the week right, and peace.